The Archangel Chronicles 2 by Raymond. Copyright 2024, all rights reserved. Chapter 1, The Tomb of Sorrows. Camilla, gathering darkness on a wine-red sea. Monsoon winds, which had been fair for days, filled the red mainsail, the foresail, and the top triangular suparum of the Corbita Minerva, propelling the large merchant ship over a following sea. She was a sizable, sturdy merchant ship, larger than any I'd ever sailed on. The lanterns were hung on their poles off the stern. I stood on the raised platform, behind the pleasing curved form of the wooden swan arising out of the stern deck. Two steersmen stood silent on a lower platform near the stern, each controlling the boom extending to the two great steering oars on each side of the ship, maintaining the heading set for them by the Exitor Navis, Nicanor. Nicanor had just left the seat of authority on the roof of the stern cabin. I had come here to find my former child ward, Sophia, deep in thought, as she stood looking backward over the way we had come. At various intervals behind us, fading into the distance, I could see the other 9 ships of the first wave following us. "There you are, child," I said, unfolding the shawl I had brought and drawing it over her shoulders. "I thought you might need this. I suppose you will stand here long into the night, gazing at the stars and the constellations, just as you have every other night for the past 2 weeks. Mawa, my destiny is to study the stars, to chart the heavens, and to measure our progress," she said. "And it is my destiny that most of the great changes in our lives are marked by a sea voyage," I thought to myself. Sophia turned to me, eyes glistening with tears. "Oh, Mawa," she said, "my protector, my constant friend, my mentor. Why did he not come with us? Why did he leave me? Has something happened to him?" She had been brooding about this for weeks. Her suffering cut me like a knife. I closed my eyes, and my mind went back to the busy days before we departed on this voyage. We were at the docks in Arizona, at the upper tip of the Red Sea, standing in front of this very ship as she was being provisioned and loaded with its extensive cargo. Nicanor, the Exitor Navius, the master of this ship, stood before her, declaiming the features of his new purpose-built vessel to a group of us, including Sophia, Honourius, the tribune Lucius alias Caelius, and Strabo the geographer. "Here she is, Dominus, my mistress, my love. I present to you the Minerva. She will be the flagship for the merchant transports on this voyage. She will lead us to the lands of the Indus." Honourius walked along the length of the ship, eyes alert, taking it all in. "She is much larger than the Liburnia that bore me on my first voyage, Master Navius." Dominus. She measures 200 feet by length, 42 feet high from the keel to the tiller, and 46 feet wide. She was built from oak, especially brought here from Germania. She can carry 40,000 amphorae, if that is what we wished. "On this voyage, Master Navius, we do indeed have a special cargo," said Caelius. "We have my cohort, and the artillery, ballistae, and parts to build and outfit a squadron of fast Liburnae war galleys when we arrive at Barbican." "But why not just build them here and sail them all across the Erythraean Sea?" said Strabo. Honourius smiled at the question. "My dear Strabo," he said, "a Liburnia is built for speed and ramming. They're 110 feet long, 16 feet wide, with 20 oars per side. They carry a crew of 50 skilled sailors at the oars, and about 20 marines and a dozen archers. Those ships are built to stay close to the coast and usually are beached at night. Because they're built for speed, long and narrow, there is no room for cargo, and they are unsuited for open waters where they can be swamped and capsized in heavy seas." "Aye, Master Strabo," said Nicanor. "I build my ships to remain at sea for multiple days with no need to come back to land. We move by sail only and have much smaller crews as we have no need for rowers. With their strong spills, high sides, and drafts, our ships are designed to handle the challenges of open sea voyages once we depart from the coast." "Dominus," said Strabo, "you know that the Indian ports have been closed to trade because of pirates who infest those waters. How are we to deal with them without war galleys?" Honourius. "Tribune, why don't you explain while I climb aboard and inspect our special adaptations for this vessel?" Honourius left the group, climbed down the gangplank, and disappeared from view inside the ship. Caelius shifted his stance. "Yes, well, Master Strabo, the plan is this. The first wave will consist of 10 corbetas, which are similar in size and capacity to the Minerva. These exceptionally large ships will carry our cohort of 800 men, the ballistae, Scorpios, canoballistae, and ammunition for all of that artillery, and the other parts, wood and canvas, to build a squadron of Liburnae and the crews and sailors to man that squadron. These crews must be well fed, exercised, and provisioned, so there is no room for trade goods on the first wave. Artillery has been placed on the deck to be used against pirate ships. We also have archers aboard, and towers that can be erected and disassembled on deck as needed when we have use for them as firing platforms. These are merely defensive measures. The Minerva will have her sting, but the plan is to avoid ramming and boarding until we can reach Barbican and contact the local authority there. Then we will offload our ships and construct the squadron." "Very impressive, Tribune," nodded Strabo. Sophia looked at the busy stream of slaves entering and leaving the ship, burdened with provisions and equipment for the voyage. In the distance, crews of rowers sitting on raised benches with platforms practiced rowing maneuvers on the wharf, acting in unison to the shouted commands of their officers. Winches strained to lift heavier items aboard the Minerva. She looked at Caelius. An awkward blush spread across his face at her unexpected attention. "I just wondered, Callias, if you have had any word of Adam," she said. Callias turned away. "I have not, my lady." "Has Honourius said anything about him?" "No, my lady." Sophia could not hide her anxiety. "It's just that our departure is imminent. He should have arrived weeks ago with Scarus. Isn't Scarus under your command? Have you not heard anything from him?" "No, my lady." "But Scarus, at least, is under your orders. Isn't he supposed to be here by now?" Sophia stood directly in front of Callias and looked at him intensely. "You know something, Callias, don't you? There is something that you aren't telling me." Callias looked away. "Yes, Scarus is under my orders, but he's on a special mission that I cannot discuss with you," he said. "Cannot discuss? Secret mission? Does this have something to do with Adam? Please tell me, my friend. We have known each other for a long time. Tell me what you know," said Sophia. "There was a time, my lady, where I hoped I could be more than just a friend. But forgive me, I'm sworn to secrecy. Honourius can be a hard man." "Honourius," said Sophia slowly. "So he's the key to all of this, is he?" "My lady, I beg you not to press me, for I cannot resist you. You know that, don't you? I have sworn sacred oaths that I must not break." The day finally came when all the preparations were at last complete, and all the parties were on board. At dawn, Sophia stood with Honourius and Nicanor on the raised stern platform of the Minerva. "Dominus, Domina, we cannot wait any longer. The winds and tides are favorable. We must cast off within the hour if we are to keep the advantage," said Nicanor. Sophia was distraught. "Dominus, Honourius, please, if we cannot wait, then I must leave and return to Alexandria. Something has happened to Adam. I must find him." A look of tenderness came over Honourius's face. He placed his hands on Sophia's shoulders. "Cara philosophia," he said, "that cannot be. You must come with us. You have a place here to document this voyage for all future scholars, and you guide us by the stars. We must leave now. We cannot await your physician. He can be replaced, but you cannot." He turned away to Nicanor. "Very well, Master Navius. Hoist the signal. Let us start on our journey, and may Fortuna favor us." "Dominus, you're keeping something from me," said Sophia. "What has happened to Adam and Scarus? Have you done something with them? Why won't you tell me?" Honourius eased Sophia away from the others on deck and spoke softly. "Cara philosophia, it is true. I do know something, but I wanted to spare your feelings. There is no easy way for me to tell you this. You must forget Adam. He is lost to all of us now." A look of alarm spread across Sophia's upturned face. "Lost? What do you mean? What has happened? Why haven't you told me before now?" "Forgive me, child. I wanted to spare you. You know that he was attracted to that Scythian Queen. He has run off with her and taken Scarus with him." "Run off? But he wouldn't. Not without telling me. This cannot be true. I don't believe you, sir. Something is wrong," she said, her eyes filling with tears. "You know, my lady, this queen was returning to her people and her lands. She seduced him with promises of marriage, position, and wealth. He may not be the man of character that you thought. We must face up to it. And as for Scarus, he put loyalty to his friend and patron above loyalty to his country. So for your sake, It may be better that this physician is gone." "I cannot believe you. He would never betray me," she said, and ran off to find me. I was in our quarters. "My child," I said as she came to embrace me, sobbing. "What is it, my agapinos?" In between tears, she repeated what Honourius had said. "But I do not believe him. Without a note, without a farewell, he would not leave me without telling me. Adam was so close to me, Mawa. My animus. He would never hurt me so." "My agapaminos," I said, "I believe you. Your men and Scarus are known for their honesty. Deceit is not in their nature. But," Sophia broke my embrace abruptly. "But what? Is there something else that no one is telling me? What is it?" "Agapaminos," I said, "I swear by Vesta herself and the eternal fire. I do not know, but I have a history with Honourius that I have kept from you far too long. He can be a hard man, ruthless even, a keeper of secrets. I think he knows more than he's telling you." "What secrets, Mawa?" she said through her tears. "The time has come for me to tell you, my beloved. We have left my oaths of secrecy behind us. I will tell you what I know about your mother, your father, and how I came to be your guardian. I will no longer remain silent." That day I sat with my agapaminos and told her the story of Paulus Fabius Honourius, senator, general, admiral, and confidant to the princeps Caesar Augustus himself, who fell in love with a Vestal virgin, her mother Tullia. All this I told her, while our ship slipped her moorings and put out to sea. I caressed Sophia's face. "My agapaminos, you are not an orphan. I knew your mother Tullia. She was very dear to me. She was a member of my order, the College of Vesta, goddess of the hearth, guardian of our home and family. There were only 6 of us in the sacred college, and we were the keepers of the eternal fires in the temple. I was the Vestalis Maxima when your mother was selected on her 6th birthday to join our sacred college. Her parents were of noble descent and were honored by my choice. I was the one who whispered into the ear of the Pontifex Maximus. He pointed to her, and she was led away. The Pontifex said, "I take you, beloved, to be a Vestal priestess. You shall learn to carry out the sacred rites. By law, these must be performed for the Roman people." She was taken to the atrium of Vesta's temple, and there she was placed under the goddess's service and protection. She grew in innocence to womanhood. As a servant of Vesta, she learned to maintain the sacred fires, never letting them fade or die. She collected water from the sacred springs. She was taught to prepare the special foods for the rituals and care for the special objects in the temple sanctuary. To all those who desired it for their home, she gave the gift of the flames from the sacred fire. She took custody and kept wills and testaments and written covenants entrusted to our care. She was taken to public ceremonies in a sacred carriage preceded by lictors, and all present on the streets gave way to them. Her person was sacrosanct. She could free condemned prisoners and slaves by merely touching them. When she entered our college, she became a daughter of the state, and no man, including her father, had any authority over her. She was instructed to refrain from relations with any man, on pain of a terrible punishment. Tullia grew to womanhood and performed all that was expected of her without reproach. She remained as pure and holy as the first day I saw her. She was a model of modest grace, much like you. However, her extraordinary beauty became a curse as it attracted the attention of a powerful and determined man who would stop at nothing to possess her. That man, my beloved, was Paulus Fabius Honourius. Sophia gasped. In the tiny cabin, she stood up and started pacing. She wrung her hands and let out a cry. "Honourius!" Over and over she whispered, "Honourius! Honourius! Honourius!" "My Agapaminos," I cried as I went to her. She collapsed in my arms, sobbing. "You must be strong, for there is much more to the story." It is true, dear one, that at first Honourius took advantage of your mother's innocence. She could not resist his advances, and Honourius was an attractive man. She was swept away and surrendered to him. It was a great sacrilege which the goddess will never forget nor forgive. Your mother passed through a deep vault of sorrows, but my precious daughter, my Agapaminos, your mother's gentle spirit and great beauty took hold of Honourius and pierced his heart. He fell in love with her and would have given up all his wealth and position to be with her. But as you know, the fates are cruel. It did not take long for her to be found out by her sisters, and there was no way to keep her condition a secret. I had just finished 30 years in the College of Vesta. Under our custom, I retired from the college and was given a pension. I withdrew from the temple and lived my life modestly in the city. When your mother's pregnancy was discovered, it caused an uproar secretly within the temple amongst the other Vestal virgins. Tullia was beloved by her sisters. They knew what fate awaited her. You know, dear one, that the College of Vesta is sacred to the Roman state. The priestesses of Vesta are considered a fundamental state institution, tending the sacred fires. The love between your mother and father was, in the eyes of the law, a sacrilege. It was an insult to the goddess that the purity of one of her priestesses was violated. But the crime and punishment are borne by the priestess, not her lover. She broke her vows. Our traditions from time immemorial, going back to the founding of Rome itself, dictated that punishment for the breaking of the sacred oaths was immurement, to be buried alive in the Campus Scleratus, the evil field, in an underground chamber near the Colline Gate. This is because no blood could be spilt in exacting this punishment. The spilling of a Vestal's blood, even an unchaste one, invited the wrath of the goddess herself. But your father is a man of action, and would not stand idly by and watch his beloved so dishonored by his own sacrilege. So he stirred from his despair and conceived a plan and bent his will to save Tullia. Honourius came to me in my retirement to enlist my help. He knew I loved Tullia as a daughter and was her patroness. Honourius confessed his actions to me and implored my aid. At first, I was appalled and felt bound by our traditions. But to Honourius's credit, he offered to confess his actions publicly and bear the consequences. He begged me to see the injustice of it, while he would be publicly humiliated Deprived of his rank and banished to a corner of the empire, his beloved Tullia would suffer a terrible fate. His words penetrated my heart, and I could not bear the thought of my dear Tullia suffering the punishments all alone. I agreed to help your mother escape, but that required an elaborate plan. Honourius' plan would satisfy the public, who would think proper punishments were imposed, and it would avoid a public scandal that would threaten the security of the state itself. And so it was your mother confessed to the Pontifex Maximus. What happened next was a horrible ordeal for Tullia, but in her love, she bore the humiliations humbly and without complaint or protest. Julia stood trial and was condemned by the College of Pontifices. She was stripped of her ribbons and other badges of office. She was scourged by the Pontifex. In a solemn funeral procession, accompanied by weeping Sister Vestal Virgins, she was dressed like a corpse and placed in a closed litter, carried through the streets to the Forum, and finally taken to the Campus Scleratus within the city walls near the Colline Gate. A vault was prepared for her underground with nothing in it but a couch, a lamp, and a table with a bit of food. The Pontifex Maximus lifted his hands to heaven and uttered many secret prayers. He opened the litter and led Tullia to the steps of the ladder to the underground vault. All the while, the wailing and crying from the Vestals and the crowd echoed through the city. An executioner conducted her down the ladder. The door was secured, and the ladder was drawn up. The sound of drumming and the blaring of horns accompanied the filling of the pit. To all the world, Tullia was dead, buried alive. The Vestal Virgins left, wailing as they went. The crowd dispersed, and all was quiet. For 3 days it was thus, but the vault had been specially and secretly prepared. We had seen that Tullia was given enough oil for her lamp and enough food to survive. Patiently, she waited in the dim lamplight, for she knew her deliverance would come. There was a secret exit through a hidden tunnel out of the chamber, and before dawn on the 3rd day, Honourius went through it and embraced his beloved. He led her out of the passageway, disguising her and placing her in a closed litter. And so it was, my dear one, that your mother, Tullia, carrying you inside her, escaped a terrible death. Honourius arranged for Tullia to be taken to a villa Procida, an island near Neapolis. He spent as much time there as he dared. It was there, my dear one, that you were born. Sophia sat quietly as I told her all these things, tears streaming down her cheeks. When I had finished, she reached over and grasped my hand. But Maua Camilla, why was I not left with my mother? Could you tell me why I was taken away? What happened to her? Agapaminos, Honourius is a powerful man, a man of influence, a confidant of the emperor himself. He had many enemies, as such men do. Tullia was well known for the days of her service in the temple, and of course her scandal was widely known. She had to be kept away from any public view, away from Rome and society where she might be recognized by someone. It was vital that she never be discovered, and so she remained out of view in the villa until you were born. Honourius, and I, we felt that you should be kept safe as an extra measure. Yet your mother couldn't find it in her heart to give you up. But, whispered Sophia, she gave me up, for I have never seen her. Yes, my dear one, to her everlasting sorrow, but my own joy. When the time came for your birth, I took you away to be raised by me in Alexandria. Your mother never saw you again. Sophia stood and turned her back to me. Her shoulders shook with silent sobs. I went to her and whispered in her ear, forgive me, my agapaminos, but we felt it best to protect you. In time, after much grief, your mother wrote to me. I have the letter. She told me that I should give you this when the time was right, and you would no longer be in any danger. I pulled the leather case out of the folds of my tunic, where I had kept it. I give this to you now. Sophia opened the case, pulled it out, and unrolled the vellum scroll. She took it over to a lamp to read it. Mihi pretiosum unum. When you read this, I will be gone. I will have crossed the river Styx and paid the boatman his homage. I will rest in the Elysian fields, my little one, where I will await for you. I have left you in the care of my Virgo Vestalis Maxima, my friend Camilla. You are in safe hands. Know that you were born of love and brought into this world in love. I could not bear to depart from you. When you were taken from me, it pierced my heart with a wound that never heals. As time passed, I have come to peace with the need for Camilla's actions. Please do not judge her harshly for her part in this. I had to give you up to keep you safe. The fates are cruel to keep us apart. I think of you every day and cry many bitter tears. Do not judge your father harshly, dear child, for he has redeemed himself and shown kindness to all of us. He took great risks to keep us safe. Be well, my love. I pray you prosper and grow in wisdom. With the greatest of my love, your sorrowful mother, Tullia. Tears streaming down her face and onto the parchment, staining the ink. The silence of our tiny quarters was complete, broken only by the creaking sounds of the sailing ship, slipping over the waves on the dark sea in the long watches of the night. All my life, said Sophia, I thought I was alone, an orphan cast from my family, not knowing father or mother. She turned to me, eyes gleaming. You have been my protector, Maua Camilla. You have loved me, doted on me, and seen to my every need. You have lived a life of service, and you were the keeper of deep secrets, my wonderful lady. Deep secrets and deep sorrows. They have been a great burden to you as well. My eyes filled with tears. Even in her distress, all she could think of was the feeling of others. I went to her and knelt, looking up into her face, my hands folded together in supplication. Agapaminos, forgive me, forgive me. I bowed my head, touching the floor. I was powerless. I had no choice, I moaned, rocking back and forth. I felt Sophia's hand touching my back slightly. She grasped my arm and lifted me up. Dearest Vestalis Maximus, You saved my life and my mother's. There is nothing to forgive. I honor you." We embraced for a long time. That was a fortnight ago. Now I opened my eyes and found myself back in the present on the stern deck of the Minerva, standing near the beautifully proportioned carved swan pillar. "You asked me why Adam did not come, my lady. I will tell you the truth. Your father, Honourius, is a man who will control those around him, sometimes with the best of intentions. I do not doubt he loves you, for he sees your mother in you. But he is a man who plans every move and does not hesitate to use those closest to him when he thinks it necessary. I see plans within plans and schemes within schemes. But I tell you this, I do not believe Adam and Scarus went to Scythia willingly. I think Honourius has plans for you that do not involve Adam. He is protective. I also feel, my Agapaminos, that Adam will find his way back to you or die trying." "You think he is alive, then? Has your goddess told you so?" "I do not think my goddess speaks to me anymore, but my heart tells me these things." Music for this episode from Epidemic Sound, The Odyssey Ahead by Dream Cave, Sad Business, Myth, Defending the Keep by John Bjork, Forging an Empire by Christopher Mo Ditlevson, Yukatata by Soyuri Hayashi Egnal, Ophelia's Dream, Save the World, Yellow Sky. The Archangel Chronicles 2 by Raymond, copyright 2024, all rights reserved.